Hello there, Earthling. This microphone is no longer available. You may be asking, why are you reviewing it? Valid question. Regardless, this is my review of the JZ Mics, or it used to be the Violet Mics Amethyst Vintage. When I bought this, it cost between $600 and $1,200. No links because it's not available. All of my recording settings will be listed in the doobly-doo as well as the description. And box what in it cometh. Hey, you're gonna get a microphone, a 5/8 to 3/8 inch mic stand adapter, and a Violet Mics warranty card. Next, as far as the build quality, I think this mic feels pretty well put together. It has an all-metal body and a metal mesh grille with a minor amount of give to it. There are no buttons or switches on the front or the rear. On the sides, you do have shock mount points in case you want to buy the shock mount. On the bottom, you have 5/8 inch microphone stand threading and the XLR port. I have no idea where this is made because it doesn't say, but JZ Mics talks a lot about being built in Latvia, so I am assuming this is built in Latvia as well. The last thing I want to say, I have seen some complaints about the QA of JZ Mics, where stuff isn't quite as good as it should be given the $1,200 retail price. I'm not going to read all of the specs to you, but I will have them listed in the description down below, and I'll also have the graphs that I could find up on screen. I did have to pull these off of Violet Mics' website though, so who knows if they're accurate or not. Now I'm spinning around the Amethyst to 90 degrees to show you the off-axis rejection and coloration. Continuing around to 180 degrees, this is the rear of the capsule. Continuing around to 180 degrees, no, 90 again, that's what we're doing, and then going around to 0 again. Circumferences and degrees are hard. Now let's hear how the Amethyst Vintage handles plosive rejection. Please provide pizza pronto pals. Please prepare papa papu papa papi, and please prepare pizza pronto pals. Now I am right on top of the Amethyst Vintage, and here is how it's sounding. Now I'm 6 inches off of the mic with it pointed at the corner of my mouth, and here's how it sounds. Now about 1 foot away from the Amethyst Vintage, about 2 feet from the Amethyst Vintage, and about 4 feet away from the Amethyst Vintage. Now here is how the Amethyst Vintage sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a relatively well-treated room. And now here is how the Amethyst sounds about 6 inches away from my mouth in a completely untreated room. Now I'm typing on a keyboard with Gateron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard the Amethyst picks up. And for the gamers, this is the SAD W and spacebar keys. Now let's hear how the Amethyst Vintage does at rejecting shocks. So I'll start by tapping on my desk to see how much of that it can reject. And then I will tap on the boom arm. I am also annoying, so I am going to tap on the body of this microphone to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies. Now let's hear how the Amethyst Vintage sounds compared to a bunch of other microphones. This is the Amethyst Vintage 6 inches away running into the UA-X8, gain set at 33 dB. Let's hear the first comparison. First, I'm on the Rode NT1 5th Gen, about 6 inches off, gain still set at 33 dB, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone costs about $250, and here's how this sounds compared to the Violet mic design thing. Back on the Amethyst Vintage for a palette cleanser, here is how it sounds. Let's go to another one. Now I'm on the Shure KSM32 with no pad and no filters engaged. 6 inches off, gain still set at 33 dB. Make sure to check the lower third. This microphone costs about $600, so what I paid for the Amethyst Vintage and let's go back to it and do a whole lot more. All right, I'm back on the Amethyst Vintage again to clear out your ear holes. Here is how it sounds. Let's hear some more mics. Next, I'm on the Soyuz 1973, 6 inches off, gain still set at 33 dB, no pad engaged. This microphone costs about $800, and here is how this sounds compared to the Violet designs. Back on the Amethyst Vintage again, yap, 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 talk, 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 next mic. Next, I am on the Telefunken TF11 FET. I am 6 inches off, gain is set at 33 decibels. This microphone costs about $900, so still less than the MSRP of the Amethyst. Let us go back and do some more. This is the Amethyst Vintage yet again. Here is how it sounds. Get a good feel for it. Let's hear another one. Now I am on the JZ Mics Vintage 11, 6 inches off, gain still set at 33 decibels, no pads, no filters. This microphone costs about $1,000, so $200 less than the Amethyst, and here is how it sounds. Let's do more. We are over the hump, and this is the Amethyst Vintage again, another palette cleanser. Let us hear whatever the next microphone is. Next, I am on the Neumann TLM103. I am 6 inches off. My gain is still set at 33 decibels. This microphone costs about $1,195, so $5 less than the Amethyst. That $5 really adds up. Here is how this sounds. Let's do some more. I don't know where we are in the comparisons, but I do know this is the Amethyst Vintage. Yep, that nothing has changed. Let's do more. I am now on the JZ Mics Vintage 67. I am 6 inches off, gain still set at, say it with me, 33 decibels. Yahoo! This microphone costs about $1,200. Direct competition with its another mic from the same company. How does this sound? Let's go back and do 3 more. We have a handful more to go, so here is the Amethyst Vintage again to clear out your ear canals. That's not the word. Let's go to the next microphone. Now I am on the Austrian Audio OC818. I am 6 inches off. My gain is still set at 33 dB. Cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filters. This microphone costs $1,250, so $50 more than the Amethyst. You get more polar patterns, you get filters, and here is how it sounds. Let's do 2 more. If I'm not mistaken, this is your penultimate palette cleanser on the Amethyst Vintage. That's enough talking, let's go to it. Now I am on the AKG C414 XLS Cardioid pattern, no pad, no filters, 6 inches off, gain set at 3,922 decibels. Nope, it's set at 33 again. And this microphone, I think I'm funny. I think I'm really funny, apparently. This microphone costs about $1,320. That's enough talking on this. Let's do one more. And we have one more microphone to go. You all know what it's going to be, so let's jump to it right now. I am on the Neumann U87 Ai. I am 6 inches off, gain is set at 33 dB. Cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filters. This microphone costs $3,700, and it is intended to be a control from video to video. I must say, this lineup in the microphones for the comparisons is crazy good. This was a fun one. Which one was your favorite? Let's go to the music test now. You will need it when you realize I'm a zombie and I'll eat your brains. Brains. Serious question, what is the best zombie movie ever made? Hint, there is a correct answer, and it's where we get brains from. Let me know in the comments down below. I think this concludes our Halloween theme songs. Conclusion time. Since the microphone isn't even available anymore, I have no idea if I should include a conclusion or if it even matters. But if I were including a conclusion, I would start it by saying, with an MSRP of $1,200, this thing has some absolutely insane and legendary competition. And first up, as far as pros, this thing has a really great self-noise of only 7 dBA, so you're likely to never hear the noise generated by the microphone's internals. And also, as far as the sound goes, I would say this offers a very detailed sound. But then we get to the cons, and first up for me is the lack of shock rejection on the microphone. The version I got did not come with a shock mount, so you are going to be susceptible to any kind of shocks there. As far as the mounting go, I hate the location of the mic stand, because if you're mounting this on a stereo bar or anything, it's gonna block the XLR port. I hate that. And I also found that the off-axis coloration around 90 degrees really wasn't the best, and that's something I would hope wouldn't be an issue with a $1,200 microphone. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions about the Amethyst Vintage? As far as the overall sound, I would say this is a slightly brighter sounding microphone. It does have a bit of body and support in the low end. In the mids, I don't have any complaints. It's nice and clear. And then you're getting a slight boost in the treble and air frequencies, which gives you this brighter sound that makes it sound quite detailed. On the electric guitar, I think it's fine. It gives you plenty of treble, and you can get a bit of grit and aggression out of it if that's what you're looking for. On the acoustic guitar, I think it works quite well here. It has enough support in the body area, and then you get this really nice articulation in the upper frequencies. For singing vocals, I would classify this as detailed sounding. It really brought out all the character and the disgustingness in my voice. This can either be a really good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're looking for. It's essentially just not doing you any favors and not smoothing anything out too much. And finally, for spoken word, I do not love it, but I think it's perfectly fine and perfectly workable. I just don't think a microphone needs this much brightness when it's not competing with a lot of other sound sources. That is just personal preference. I like darker, smoother sounding mics for solo spoken word, but I understand plenty of other people will be hankering for that detail and articulation that this mic offers. And to wrap up, what I recommend the Violet Microphones Design Amethyst Vintage. It's not even available anymore, so who cares? It doesn't matter. If you like the sound of it, if you like that brighter character, and you like the price point that you find it used for, go for it. My personal ranking of all the JZ microphones that I have personally bought and personally tested out based on my own personal preferences is as personally follows. My least favorite is the Vintage 67. I just don't like the treble and the air on that thing. Second would be the Violet Amethyst Vintage. Also, not the biggest fan of the treble on this thing. It's a bit too much for my personal taste. And my favorite that I have personally tried based on personal preference, can I drive home the point enough that this is personal, is the Vintage 11. Because that is a bit of a darker sounding microphone, and that is up my alley. Also, with an MSRP of $1,200, like I already alluded to, this has a lot of competition. TLM103 is the exact same price, $50 more for the Austrian Audio OC818, multiple polar patterns, high pass filters, pads, just an insanely good sounding mic. 414s from AKG are $120 more, half the price for the Shure KSM32. This thing just has a lot of competition, and the competition is fantastic. So you're going to need to like the sound of this microphone if you choose to pay the price for it. But just look out for sales, because Jay-Z goes on steep discount quite a lot. Don't pay $1,200 for it. I got it for $6.